This is Hemant.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. Please go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast to support this show. Get your ad-free and bonus episodes and a video episode. I'm looking at the camera right now.
Hi, my hair's still wet from the shower I took this morning.
And by the way, if you live in St. Louis, I will be there this weekend for the Ethical Society of St. Louis. I'm giving several talks on Saturday night, Sunday morning. All that information is at ethicalstl.org. All the events are free of charge. They're open to the public. I'll be talking about atheism. I'll be talking about some of the media stuff and why you need to support independent creators, which is something we've talked about on this show before. And we'll be doing a whole panel about atheists who disappoint us and everything. Good times.
Yay.
So lots of events. It's in St. Louis. If you're anywhere in the Missouri area, come on by. And all those details will be in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start. There's so much to talk about this weekend. I'm going to start by talking about a major case that the Supreme Court decided not to listen to this week.
What?
And somehow that's always very good news.
What?
When this Supreme Court says no.
Unexpected breath of fresh air from this miserable, terrible, decrepit old SCOTUS.
That's exactly right. Okay. In order to they rejected the case. I'm giving away the ending. So that's good.
Spoilers on American history, I guess.
Let me tell you what this story is actually about, though, because it goes back a decade. Okay, December of 2015. It's the high school football state championships in Florida.
Oh, my God. We're going back to this?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And basically in Florida State Class 2A football playoffs, because they have different classes based on how big your schools are, there were actually two Christian schools that made it to the championship game. One of them was Cambridge Christian School, and they were playing another Christian school. So before the game, one of the Cambridge Christian School administrators wanted to say prayers over the public address system, but this is an event, the football championship, that's administered by the Florida High School Athletic Association, like the state-run group that handles high school athletic events. And they're like, you can't use the PA system to do Christian prayers.
Because it's the law.
It's the law. It's a state-run event. It's televised. It's at a public facility. It doesn't matter what your schools are.
Right.
It's illegal for Christians to use the loudspeaker system for religious purposes.
Yeah.
Now, if you all want to pray on your own, guess what? No one is stopping you.
Yeah.
But as we know by now, conservative Christians don't believe prayers count unless they can push it on everyone else.
That's true.
And in fact, before the championship game, the players, coaches, administrators, and, quote, at least one referee gathered at midfield to pray together. These are from both teams, so the referee wasn't doing anything weird.
What a touching sign of unity that a team that otherwise doesn't like each other for no specific reason can still stand near each other and murmur.
And murmur about how everyone else is going to go to hell. And so by the way, they prayed after the game too. But again, those prayers...
Wait, did both of the teams pray after the game, or did only the winning team pray after the game? Because obviously that one is the one that God showed his favor to.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch the game. Class 2A is like low-hanging fruit. You don't watch the Class 2A games.
Literally all you watch is Survivor and sports.
That's true. So they prayed after the game too. But again, these prayers are not on TV. They're not broadcast to the public. Literally no one cared that they did that, including the Florida High School Athletic Association. But after the game was over, the Christians filed a lawsuit over their lack of access to the loudspeaker. Okay?
Cool.
They said, how dare you say we're not allowed to pray before the game? And it's like, you're missing the point here. So they sued over this.
Yeah.
And a judge threw out the case in 2017 because, again, as we just said, what the Christian schools wanted was illegal.
Yeah.
In 2019, an appellate court said, well, there's some merit to this case, and you can't just toss it out. You got to rule based on what they were actually arguing.
That's the thing I'm not sure I quite... because doesn't the first person say, like, you don't even have standing, right? Isn't that what they're establishing?
When they tossed out the case, they're saying, there's nothing for me to even look at here. You don't even have an argument.
Yeah.
The appellate court said, well, they do have standing. They do have an argument. Hey, judge, go look at this again and see if their argument makes any sense. So in 2022, this is 5 years later, the same district judge says, no, okay, I rule on the merits. It's still illegal what they want. Okay. Like, fine. You want me to look at the arguments? I looked at the arguments and
It's still not working.
It's still not working. So they get appealed again. And this time the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals says, no, it's what the earlier judge said, because when it comes to the First Amendment claims that the Christian school is making, the judges said prayers over the loudspeaker do count as government speech. And the Florida High School Athletic Association rejecting your request, that's not violating your First Amendment rights. So on the merits, you don't have an argument here.
Right.
Everyone has said this in every court, basically, that has looked at this.
It's like me suing like you for not being able to shout from your balcony or whatever. Like, I don't think I just get to do that because I wanna.
Right. And the Christian school said, hey, can the full 11th Circuit look at this case? And the full 11th Circuit said, no. Like, there's nothing for you to argue here. And all of this made perfect sense because in 2000, the Supreme Court ruled in a different case called it's Santa Fe versus Doe. But they said in 2000 that if prayers are delivered on school property at school-sponsored events over the school's PA system, it's a violation of the Establishment Clause. They ruled on this 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the precedent. So the judges are like, don't be mad at us. Like, that's the Supreme Court ruling. That's still in place. Yeah. So it didn't help that Cambridge Christian School had basically two big problems here. One was standing. Because even if the judges ruled in their favor, what's Cambridge Christian School going to do about it? Because the game was in 2015.
That's
interesting. One thing.
Because there's a difference between, I wanted to do this one thing once and you stopped me from it versus this is what I want to be able to do moving forward.
And that's right. And to that point,
tricky.
The judges were even like, maybe this you would have an argument for standing if you were going to be in the championship game in the future, and this is something you want to do. But quite frankly, the 11th Circuit judges said, you ain't getting to the championship game anytime soon.
Okay, I don't feel like the judge can rule on their quality as a football establishment.
Oh, they did.
No, they didn't.
Let me read it for you.
Fuck yourself.
The school does need to demonstrate that future injury is certainly impending, or at the very least that there is a substantial risk that the harm will occur. And given the team's past performance on the gridiron, it cannot meet that standard. All the more so because, as Cambridge Christian admits, the competitiveness of its football team has waned over the last few seasons, and the team is now in what it calls a rebuilding phase that it expects to last for a few years. Listen to this.
I'm sorry,
wait. You got to hear this. You got to hear this.
In a high school.
Listen to this.
Oh, God.
This is the judges still. Hope springs eternal, but standing cannot be built on hope. With all due respect to the Cambridge Christian Fighting Lancers, there is nothing to suggest that the team's participation in a future football state championship is imminent or even likely.
Well,
so the judges are like, you're not playing in the championship game, so even if we ruled in your favor, nothing's going to change because you're not making it to that game anytime soon.
I feel like
you know your football team is bad when judges are like, you guys suck. Come on.
Am I having a weird stress dream that a judge is dunking on a high school football team?
They're totally dunking on a high school football team. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. Okay, that was issue number 1.
Wait, first of all, no. I'm not done with the rebuilding phase because you can't be in a high school rebuilding phase because the players necessarily can only be there for 4 years.
Sure. I mean, if you want me to defend that, you might have a state championship team 1 year, but then all the good kids graduate and you're like, oh no, all my best players are gone now.
That's not a rebuilding phase. That's we're bad now.
That's what the judges said.
You can't say it's a rebuilding phase if you're not like trading for players. Like, this is madness.
Anyway, that was issue number 1.
Yeah.
The second issue the judges had was mootness. They said the lawsuit doesn't matter anymore.
It's like a cow's opinion. It's moo.
Thank you, Friends joke from 1996.
It's a joke from Friends. Joey said it.
This lawsuit, they said, doesn't matter because in 2023, Florida lawmakers passed a law specifically to fix this exact situation. So why do you want us to step in? Yes. Basically, the law created a special carve-out for Cambridge Christian School, but they wrote it in a way that it theoretically could apply to anyone. Here's what Florida lawmakers did in 2023. they passed a law that said any high school athletic association with public schools, like the Florida High School Athletic Association, if they regulate interscholastic activities across the state, you have to allow participating schools in a state series, like playoff games, to, and this is what the law said, you have to allow them to, quote, make brief opening remarks if requested by the school using the PA system at the event.
Sir, your state is sinking into the ocean. Is this really what we're spending our legislature on?
Those remarks, they said, they can't be longer than 2 minutes. And by the way, Ron DeSantis' office specifically said when they were touting this bill, they said, by the way, if you want to say some public prayers at the beginning of your sporting events, if you choose to, you are allowed to do that.
Okay, so the whole case is pointless because they already had the right to do it?
Yes. So in practice, that meant schools could request the use of a public address system before a playoff game, where representatives from both teams could spend 2 minutes each telling the crowd to accept Jesus.
So what happened is we're mad about a thing that happened in 2015.
Yeah. They go to court.
They go to court in 2023. Florida decides, no. Whether or not the judges agree, we as Florida lawmakers are going to definitely make it so that our valuable football time is going to be taken up by some prayers.
Correct. Except they just said it applies to any event and it doesn't have to be prayer. So they're not specifically saying prayer in the law.
And
but wink,
then
wink,
the Satanic Temple entered the chat.
Here's the thing about it. This law says the comments cannot be, quote, derogatory, rude, or threatening. Fine.
Lord,
but also,
strike
to
down
your point,
these homosexuals.
Could schools allow a Satanist to speak before a game? In theory, yes. They could allow Muslims to deliver a prayer before games. However, realistically speaking,
that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen because there's always a, quote, neutral way to promote the religion you want to promote.
Yeah.
You could say,
quote unquote, neutral,
coaches select the speakers.
Sure.
Or you could say the teams get to vote on who speaks.
Right.
I mean, you could find ways to make sure that never happens. That non-Christians don't get to speak.
Because to be honest, I could do a really good tight 2 minutes on why football is bad and shouldn't be played. And if they would give me the opportunity, I think I would be welcomed as a hero into Florida.
So keep in mind, this bill was passed specifically to allow prayer at athletic competitions, even though student athletes and coaches were always permitted to pray on their own. And
so what are these whiny babies talking about then?
So this is still in court when this law is passed.
Okay.
It's all ridiculous. By the way, you know where Ron DeSantis signed that bill into law?
His butt. Boom roasted. Take that, DeSantis.
This is why you're not doing stand-up anymore. Ron DeSantis signed the bill into law at a ceremony at Cambridge Christian School.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Of course.
And I don't do stand-up anymore because I'm over 40 and the bars won't have me.
So the 11th Circuit judges said that law was already passed. So what do you need us for?
How much time and resources have we wasted on this?
So they said, you don't have standing. The case you're bringing to us is moot.
Yeah.
So on that alone, we're not ruling on it. But while we're here, let's just go ahead and rule on your issue anyway, just for the sake of it.
Just for we're going to do a scrimmage.
Just for funsies, right? They said the history of the Florida High School Athletic Association's loudspeaker policies showed that it is government speech. It was almost entirely scripted and delivered by a third-party announcer, not anybody associated with the schools. There's only one example they could find of a Christian school principal being allowed to pray over the loudspeaker at a playoff game, and it was at a championship game in 2012. But even then, they said, quote, one instance does not a history make. There is no tradition of allowing anyone to do prayers.
So the court is this is bullshit, and even though the law makes this moot, we're just going to let you know we think you're stupid?
Yes. And they also said the public would reasonably assume comments over the loudspeaker were government speech, and they would reasonably think the state was endorsing the message. And they also said, the judges, said that the government has control of the messages being delivered over the loudspeaker, so not giving Christian representatives access to the loudspeaker doesn't mean you are rejecting their free speech rights. This is their microphone, not yours. So they get to do whatever they want with it. It's the government speech.
I mean, this is truly like if I was like, I have to sing Don't Cry for Me Argentina before every game. It's part of my religion. And I got to do it once. So I think I should be able to do it every time. Has it ever happened?
So conservative Christian legal groups did not care what the judges said about any of this because the law doesn't apply to Christians. Haven't we figured that out by now? So they went to the Supreme Court and said, can you guys look at this case? And their argument is that the Santa Fe ruling from 2000, that was based on the Lemon test, which is all about whether a law violates church-state separation. And they said the Lemon test is dead now. So therefore, we're allowed to do what we want. Church-state separation is basically dead.
Don't cry for me,
Why are we still on this bit?
Because I like to sing.
Oh, okay.
I have a cool...
Wait, I'm not done yet.
Oh,
so... Basically, they also said not only is the Lemon test dead, so you can't use that as precedent against us, the endorsement test is dead, which is to say that just because a religious message is delivered via the government, via a government system, that doesn't necessarily mean it's illegal. So they said the Supreme Court's also knocked down that. Governments can have giant Christian crosses on public property by way of tradition, and the Supreme Court has said that doesn't count as endorsing religion.
Which is stupid.
For all these reasons, they're saying we should have a right to do this because all the reasons that propped up the 2000 Santa Fe case, those have died by now. So give us another chance at this.
I see.
A legal scholar who was writing about this basically said, if the Supreme Court hears this case, there are two issues to think about. The first is whether communal prayer over a loudspeaker before these state-run playoff games, does that count as government speech? The second is whether this counts as the government endorsing religion. Like, is this a new kind of endorsement test that we're saying that might be okay or what?
Okay.
And that could be a dangerous thing. The Supreme Court had the opportunity to amplify government endorsement of Christianity. By the way, Andrew Seidel, our friend and First Amendment expert, he pointed out that Brett Kavanaugh had a conflict of interest and needed to recuse himself from this case. Why? Because that Santa Fe case in 2000,
he ruled on
at the time, Brett Kavanaugh was a lawyer working for a right-wing law firm that filed a brief in that case saying you need to allow prayers over the loudspeaker at public schools.
Wow, Brett Kavanaugh's been on the wrong side of history for his entire professional career.
Yeah. So you may recall that when Oklahoma's tried to do that charter school that was Catholic.
Yes.
Amy Coney Barrett said, I have ties to this case, so I'm not going to rule on it. And it ended up being a 4-4 tie. So that case didn't go anywhere. That was good news. If they took up this case, Andrew Seidel was pointing out Brett Kavanaugh needs to step away from this too. At least this could have been an issue as well. So there was a lot at stake here. Yeah. Would the justices take up this case, even though there was no legal reason for them to do so? Would church-state separation suffer even more? Would Kavanaugh recuse himself because he's previously weighed in on this very issue? And this week, we finally got answers to that by way of one sentence in a long document issued by the Supreme Court where they said, we ain't taking up this case. That was it. They just put a thing. They said, we're denying. We heard your plea for us to hear it.
No, thank you, please.
We said no.
Interesting.
And that's it. That means the earlier rulings where the judges made fun of the football team for sucking.
Oh, yeah, that's no law.
That's still in place. But the denial means they did not have 4 votes to take up this case.
Yeah.
I don't know if Brett Kavanaugh
recused himself
or voted on this or whatever.
Because the Supreme Court, I'm sure I'm not saying anything a lot of people don't know, is extremely opaque. Yeah. And so it's very hard to sort of get your arms around that idea of like
up a case if they think they're going to win, if the conservatives think they can do what they want with the case.
Right.
So basically all the church-state separation groups that weighed in on this over the past decade, they said this is excellent news. The Freedom from Religion Foundation called it an important win for the constitutional rights of students and their families. They also said this whole case was an example of Christian privilege run amok.
Of course.
American Atheist said the court made it clear 25 years ago in Santa Fe that student athletes and fans at state-sanctioned sporting events should be free from proselytizing. So as everyone who's been paying attention to this case has been saying for years now, it was never about religious freedom. This is about religious privilege. And this Christian school and its legal allies, they weren't fighting for the right to pray. They already had the right to pray. They were fighting for the power to commandeer state machinery to amplify their faith from government-run loudspeakers. And somehow the court blinked.
Yeah.
And that is good news, I guess. So like Christian nationalists didn't get what they wanted.
Good.
And just like the Kim Davis case we talked about last week, yes, the Supreme Court said we're not taking this one up, and that is good news. It doesn't mean they wouldn't do it if they had the power to. I think they were just looking at this saying, this
Being
is
realistic.
not a good case.
Yeah.
This isn't the way we're going to dismantle church-state separation.
I have a question about sort of people who are self-described constitutional originalists.
Yes.
I guess, how do they take on precedent if they are like...
They don't care.
So when they say they're originalists, it's just we don't think black people should own property?
It's when they say originalists, they're like, sure, the courts have ruled on all of these things in the past couple hundred years, but we're going to ignore all that and go back like 250.
Do you think being a constitutional originalist is inherently like biased or naive or a misunderstanding?
As a lawyer
law?
myself,
That's what I'm always asking. You're the only smart person at this table. You need to tell me.
I mean, it's justification that they are using to do whatever the hell they want.
I see. Okay.
It has no basis in anything. They're just making up a rule and saying, oh, this is the game we're playing now.
Yeah.
It's like how Senate Republicans deal with the filibuster. Like, of course we have to preserve it unless there's something we want, in which case we'll get rid of it. Oh, we want to get a Supreme Court justice confirmed? Guess what? Filibuster no longer applies.
That stinks.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, that's overall good news. That's 2 in a row that we've gotten that haven't devastated entire populations of this country.
That's right.
So that's good news, I guess.
Good news for now. Let me jump to a
suppose.
different story. This is just funny and stupid in the worst way. There are bad press releases, and then there's whatever the hell the Catholic League did this week.
Can I tell you about
That
my
is so
relationship
ridiculous.
with press releases?
Yes.
Is every time I read a press release that's really bad or hear really bad ad copy that's like, the seasons may have changed, but that doesn't mean your fitness level needs to. I just think to myself, there but for the grace of God go I, because I spent years writing that absolute trash copy, and it is soul-sucking in the realest way. So I cannot wait to hear what a 23-year-old intern has cranked out for the Catholic League.
Oh, just you wait. Okay. In response to the Epstein files and all that
boy.
crisis going on right now.
Are we going to talk about that? Do we have anything to say?
Oh, much. Okay.
Ooh,
I'm going
good
to
for
get to
us.
this part first.
Great.
Which is that this week, I think it was this week, Fox News host, former Fox News host, Megyn Kelly, she has her podcast now, and she downplayed the seriousness of everything Epstein did, because now she's very much like, of course they should not vote to release the emails.
You mean Megyn Kelly, Santa is white kids?
Yes, that's right.
Has a bad opinion?
Here's what she said on her podcast to one of her guests. I'm quoting here, talking about Epstein. He wasn't into like 8-year-olds.
Oh, here we go.
But he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but they would look legal to a passerby. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old, you know? And the reason she said all that is that she was trying to say it's unfair to call Epstein a pedophile.
Oh, what's the word everybody's obsessed with?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're right.
She's like, he's not a pedophile. He wasn't into little kids. He was only into slightly older little kids, which technically I think the word you're looking for is a phebophile.
Oh, yeah.
So like, calm down, everyone. He wasn't a pedo. And it was a horrible argument, as everyone in the media and online ripped apart.
How can you possibly be trying to justify this?
Yeah, by the way,
point?
Megyn Kelly has a daughter who is about that age.
Cool.
So it's like, girl, come on. The technicality doesn't make a difference here. Epstein exploited children, and a lot of people apparently knew about it. And the question people are trying to answer is who partook in it.
So she's really mad that they're like, she was 15, not 12.
Yes.
12 would be unacceptable. We can all agree.
This is the same argument, by the way, that conservative Christian lawmakers sometimes make when there's an argument. How about we raise the legal age of marriage from like 14 in our state with parent permission to like 18 when they're legally an adult? And there are Christian lawmakers who are like, no, it's fine at 14 with parent permission. It's fine at 16 with parent permission.
Disgusting.
Because you guys, kids mature differently.
Yeah, well, girls are going to mature faster when you start getting hit on literally as soon as you can understand language. Young girls are like being sexualized.
That's what Megyn Kelly said on her show.
When you're fending off attacks of grown-ass men when you're a teenager, yeah, dog, you are definitely going to mature faster because you have to interact with adult men.
Yes. So this is where the Catholic League comes in, because they heard the word pedophile and their spidey sense began to tingle because, you know, they've been dealing with this for like a while. The Catholic League, which is a one-man army that basically defends the Catholic Church at all times for all reasons.
Didn't this guy die?
No, he's very much alive.
Oh, that's too bad.
I mean, doesn't look like it sometimes, but very much.
But, you know, like Frankie Valli is still touring with the Four Seasons. He looks like an animatronic version of himself, but God bless. I guess he's
right.
Got to make
so
that
anyway,
money.
The Catholic League decided.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
He's like 100 years old and he's still touring. What are you doing, Frankie Valli? Take a break.
Go make that money. There you go. So the Catholic League, who is one guy, Bill Donahue, and a staff of people who just do whatever Bill Donahue wants.
And he's not dead?
He's very much alive.
Which one died?
James Dobson? Is that what you're thinking of?
Maybe.
Anyway, when the Catholic League, which has over $60 million in the bank, found out what Megyn Kelly said, they jumped to her defense with the statement headlined, Megyn Kelly is right about Epstein. And you're like, why are you weighing in on this? You could just say nothing. No one was asking, what does the Catholic League think about this?
Correct thing is nothing, not an option.
Yeah. Here's his argument.
This is going to be terrible, isn't it?
First of all, you guys, the word pedophile only applies to, quote, a person who has sex with a prepubescent male or female, meaning someone 10 or younger. That's not the definition.
No, it's not. It also has, as a language pennant, how fucking dare you come into my house and tell me what the definitions of words are?
Yeah. He basically argued, we have to chime in here because we have a long history of defending the Catholic Church against accusations of pedophilia.
Everybody's looking to the Catholics to guide us on how to deal with pedophiles.
Correct. And he's like, listen, we have experience defending the Catholic Church and we will defend Megyn Kelly here. So what statement was so important that they wanted to piggyback on what Megyn Kelly said? They said, we want everyone to know that all those priests who were accused of wrongdoing, most of them anyway, were also not pedophiles either. Not only were there...
Sir, what?
Yeah, this is seriously the argument. I'm going to read directly from the press release.
Yeah, hit me.
Why does this matter to the Catholic League? Like Megyn Kelly's comments about Epstein. For too long, the media and the chattering class have said that the Catholic Church clergy abuse scandal was due to pedophile priests. Wrong. The data clearly show that the vast majority of priestly victims were male, 81%, and that 78% were post-pubescent. Why is this important? Because it means the molesters were homosexuals. When males have sex... Oh, I'm not done. When males have sex with males who are post-pubescent, that's called homosexuality, not pedophilia.
Sir!
But the media ignored the data, thus avoiding the role that homosexual priests played. This allowed them to tag the offenders as pedophiles. The fact is, only 3.8% of clergy sexual abuse victims were boys 10 or younger.
What the actual fuck?
I want to repeat.
Are you kidding me now?
They could have said nothing.
You absolutely should have said nothing.
So their argument is that nearly 4 out of every 5 victims of clergy abuse were post-pubescent, and therefore those priests were not pedophiles at all.
I guess maybe...
So we understand we're Jeffrey Epstein.
Collectively letting go of the human trafficking element of it, because I don't think there's an age limit on human trafficking. And I think a woman who's 22 has been human trafficked is also a victim and also should not be like passed around between rich men on yachts who basically don't care if you live or die. Like, I don't think that's the correct thing to do. Also, all over that creepy little birthday book is like 13 is the best number, 15 is the best number, and it gives me the yucks in such a real. I remember when I was 22 and a dude told me women peaked at 20, and I was like, why is this an opinion you have and need to share? Why? Why do men think we care about
this is an Arby's.
Sir, this is an Arby's. Please stop talking about my pubis.
So, their argument in defense of what Megyn Kelly said about Epstein is that we've also had our people accused of being pedos, but they are not. Those kids were, yes, underage, but over the age of 10.
Is Megyn Kelly like, hey, Catholic League, I don't need your help. I can dig this hole all by myself.
And then the Catholic League is, hey, by the way, those priests, they assaulted little boys, so that makes them gay. That's the real issue here. So there you go. So they're not technically pedophiles.
First of all, that's incorrect.
They're just gay.
Because did he say a pedophile is necessarily a girl who's prepubescent? Is that his stance?
It could be, yes.
But so he's saying that a pedophile necessarily has to assault a young girl.
No.
Oh.
A pedophile.
So if
Bill Donohue's definition of pedophile, which he pulled out of his ass, is that a pedophile is a person who has sex with a prepubescent male or female, 10 or younger.
I see. So if I have sex with, say, a 15-year-old, I'm not a pedophile?
Correct, according to Bill Donohue.
And if you have sex with a 15-year-old boy,
that just makes me gay.
You're just gay,
according
but not
to Donohue.
A pedophile.
Also correct.
Can somebody please draw a Venn diagram for me and really help me understand pedophile v. the other, homosexual?
I will repeat again. They didn't have to put out this press release.
What the and what were the responses?
Like, they don't open comments.
Oh, this is okay. Can we talk about the fucking fascinating evolution of the right over the last 10 years? Because do you remember that movie about the guy rescuing all those kids from human trafficking?
Yeah.
Because it was all about, oh my God, the Democrats are kidnapping children off the streets. They're using Wayfair as a way to market children. Was it Wayfair?
Yeah.
Something like that to market children. And now that we've found out that all of their crazy suspicions were true, is just about their right. Now we have all these think pieces about like 16-year-old girls are really mature, actually, which Heaven and I both work with teenagers. They're not mature. They're dum-dums to a person. It's fine, kids. You're going to get smarter. I promise. But right now, your brain's not done cooking.
So they're shifting this.
Don't get big tattoos before you're like 30, you guys, please. Your brain you're not making great decisions
So
yet.
in defense of Megyn Kelly defending Epstein, they are saying the priests are gay. That is their press release. And by the way, the most disturbing word in that excerpt that I read you might be the last sentence I read, which is, the fact is only 3.8% of clergy sexual abuse victims were boys 10 or younger. Only. Guys, if only 4% of the victims are underage, calm down.
Do we have rough numbers on how many?
Yes, let me help you out with this.
Thank you so much. Because I would love to hear 4% of like 10 people is not that many. 4% of a million people, still a lot of people.
3.8% of victims would still mean over 12,500 children 10 or younger in France alone. Because they did a study on this in France. That's the number I got. That's just in one country.
France, which is the size of Ohio.
There you go.
That might not be right.
So again, this is the sort of defense of sexual abuse you get from a guy who makes, wait for it, over $650,000 a year to put out statements like this one.
Patreon.com/friendly atheist podcast. I have $100 in my checking account.
I had to
help me.
I had to go back to 2018 because I'm like, this sounds like very much something Bill Donohue has said before. And I had to go back to 2018 when the Pennsylvania grand jury, thanks to Josh Shapiro, the then Attorney General, what is it?
The Larry Nassar case?
Different thing.
Oh, boy.
Josh Shapiro got a grand jury to look into the Catholic Church. They issued that grand jury report that examined like the 6 dioceses in the state and basically said, oh man, there's a lot of horrible stuff happening here. And they published that grand jury report, and it opened the floodgates to other states doing the same type of investigation. When that happened, Bill Donohue wrote a rebuttal to the grand jury report. And his argument was that, you guys, first of all, only a small percentage of priests were implicated.
Jesus
so it's not a big deal. He also said the victims were not raped. Wait for this. Here's the quote he used. They were groped or otherwise abused, but not penetrated, which is what the word rape means.
Why?
That is a real sentence in his statement.
I guess, again, nothing is always an option, but like...
He likes redefining words to suit whatever point he's trying to make.
I don't understand why you can't... I mean, I do, and this is the thing I've been harping on for years, of like, for some reason, men are like physically incapable of saying, I'm sorry, or I'm wrong, or oops. And like, why wouldn't you just say like, yeah, there were some bad dudes, but we got them all out and we are ready to go, instead of like trying to justify or soften what happened? Like, isn't a more powerful statement like, yeah, as soon as whether or not you're telling the truth, as soon as we found that out, we kicked them out because we have no room for pedophiles in our priesthood, which, now that I'm saying it out loud, is the easiest thing anybody could ever say.
But then they would lose too many people, and that's why they don't do it. Ask the Republicans.
But isn't that what fucking Catholicism is all about, is repenting?
No, that's what they want you to think.
Oh, God.
This is what Bill Donahue wrote in 2018. Let me repeat what I have often said. Most gay priests are not molesters, but most of the molesters have been gay. ... How many were pedophiles? Less than 5%. It's been a
5% is so many.
And then he adds in the same paragraph, it's been a homosexual scandal all along.
Then how did the homosexuals that you think are apparently as bad or worse? And I'm really unclear about how he's coming down on the pedophilia of it all, because he has yet to
let me tell you that.
He really hasn't said it was bad that what they did.
Here's what he said about Attorney General Josh Shapiro. Shapiro fed the myth about this being a pedophile scandal when he said the victims were little boys and girls. This is a lie. Anyone who actually reads the report knows it's a lie. Most were post-pubescent. That doesn't make the molestation okay. The guilty should be imprisoned, but it is wrong to give the impression
then let's imprison them.
But it is wrong to give the impression that we are talking about 5-year-olds when more typically they were 15.
What could you possibly be thinking if you...
This is how Bill Donahue thinks.
I can't...
His argument is,
I cannot believe what I'm hearing.
They were tweens, not toddlers. Back off. By the way, I don't know if you saw this week. Alan Dershowitz, he was defending all the Epstein stuff on whatever channel they allow him to go on now. Yeah, but he said something like one of the victims was a 17-year and 10-month-old person. So relax, you guys. And I think Jon Stewart responded
what am I supposed to do with that?
Someone on The Daily Show basically said, if you are calculating anyone's age in months,
truly,
they're too young.
I guess, how come nobody is just saying like, hey, find somebody your own age? Like, why isn't this the thing of like, hey, guys, I understand that you think like tiny boobs are cute or whatever you're going for with young girls.
I don't know what they're going for.
Nobody knows, but like, don't.
Yeah, don't.
Like, don't.
I mean, that's the advice to all these people. To be clear, the Catholic League, I want to stress, has no formal connection to the Catholic Church. It is not a league, and many would argue it's not Catholic. They don't have anything to do with the church. However, their organization was at one time housed in a building run by the Archdiocese of New York. It has a lot of support from high-ranking conservative Catholic leaders, but it's very much just Bill Donahue's group.
Is this going to be another thing that when Donahue dies, the whole thing just falls apart?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They won't have a group anymore.
That feels like a pretty serious trend in right-wing bullshittery, is like cult of personality, that person dies, and then it sort of goes away.
I mean, I don't know if it goes away. They try really hard to keep it going Weekend at Bernie style, but...
Yeah, like Rush Limbaugh, I don't think anyone's ever really... Although that was more of
you wouldn't get anyone replacing him on his show, but you would get a million other podcasters blooming in his place.
It does also speak to, like, have you ever heard of the monoculture? Have you ever heard of that concept? Basically, up until, like, kind of the early mid-2000s, even more recently, you could argue, basically, like, everybody listened to the radio... Everybody watched TV. And so there was, if you're going to watch something on TV, there's 20 things to watch on any given night. So you and I probably both watched Lost or whatever. Like we probably were both watching Dallas, or we probably all know the Michael Jackson song that's big right now, as opposed to right now.
And we all have the same cultural milestones, touchstones.
Exactly. We all watched, whatever happened together on TV. Whereas right now, like so much shit is happening that is apparently big news. And I'm like, oh, I just completely missed it. And it's neither good nor bad, but it does speak to like why Rush Limbaugh or James Dobson on these guys could get like such a stranglehold on one thing, because they were on the radio 5 days a week.
And like, you're the only game in town.
Yeah, you don't have podcasts that you can pick and choose to listen to. You listen to whatever's on fucking AM radio.
This is one of the things I've been arguing for a while now. Just because you haven't heard of some of these right-wing podcasters or YouTubers, they all have their own little followings, but those add up over time. And some of them, like Joe Rogan, have really big ones. But a lot of these guys have sizable followings that allows them to spread their shit. So you can't dismiss it.
Anyway.
Do you want a happy story?
I guess.
All right. Let's go to New Hampshire. There is a little street island, like in the middle of the road somewhere near City Hall. They call it Citizens Place. Okay. And basically it has room for like a couple of flagpoles and a 10 Commandments monument, ironically enough.
Wow,
this is one of the old ones
good size
that was marketing for the Charlton Heston movie. Basically, it was put there over 6 decades ago.
Wait,
it should not be there.
Hold the phone.
Yeah.
Were you being serious just now?
Oh, yeah. All those 10 Commandments monuments that were placed at schools, in courthouses, that was like marketing for the Heston movie.
Are you kidding me? Is this common? Did you guys know this? I'm looking in the camera. I just did a take to camera.
I believe it's common knowledge, but it doesn't matter.
Wow.
And all these Christian groups are like, well, it's been there forever, so you gotta leave it.
Is that why they all look like that, like the tablets?
Yes. Yeah.
Huh.
It's built by one group for the movie.
I wish they did History of the World Part 1 and had the third tablet that he dropped.
Yes. So I'm going to set aside the question of should that 10 Commandments monument be on that property, Citizens Place, because it's owned by the city.
This blew my mind.
But basically, it would be really tough to have it removed because it's been there for like 60 plus years. That's not where this story is going. The point is there are 2 flagpoles also there, and one of them represents the city. It has like the city's logo up on that flagpole. Since 2017, the other flagpole has been a public forum where residents can apply to have their flag go up. And the city's flag policy has been pretty broad. This is, by the way, in Somersworth, New Hampshire.
Ooh.
And so their flag policy said, we're open to any person, group, or organization that promotes benevolence, tolerance, and diversity. And in 2018, there was actually a little kerfuffle because someone got approval to hoist an atheist flag up there too. But it happened, and then the controversy died down.
Really tacky flag that guy designs, that he's doing good stuff, but his design work is very, very bad.
That flag in particular, the atheist flag in question, I don't think is the one you were talking about.
Do you know what I'm talking about, though?
There's a few that I'm like, okay, the design needs work.
Yeah.
But the problem with public forums is that sometimes some requests are going to make people uncomfortable. And that is what happened last month when a Satanist who goes by the name Soren Malcontent, love it.
I wonder what his vibe is.
He requested and got approval to put up a flag for the Satanic Temple. The mayor approved the request. There was not much pushback. And when they put up that flag, Malcontent delivered an invocation on Halloween, ending with the words, that which will not bend must break, and that which can be destroyed by truth shall never be spared its demise. It is done. A hail, Satan. By the way, there was
from something?
I don't know.
It is done sounds
very well said, though.
Yeah.
And that invocation was also attended by a state representative, which
nice.
Good on you. So that could have been the end of the story.
Yeah.
But a few days after the flag went up on Halloween, so earlier this month, the city council decided to change the entire flag policy.
God bless
so it's
them.
no longer a public forum.
I love when they do it real subtle like.
Very subtle. The new policy puts control of the flags solely in the hands of city officials, so no one gets to apply for it anymore. And the new rules proposed by the mayor explicitly said that this revision was meant to, quote, further protect the city from abuse of this policy. Like, abuse? What abuse? Are the Satanists abusing your policy by wanting inclusion here? They didn't say.
Probably.
They didn't say.
Sounds like it.
Right? So the policy that they passed, they said, here are the flags we're going to put up now, from now on that second pole, and we're going to honor I'm just rattling off a list here. Arbor Day, Greece, Pride, Juneteenth.
Greece, the country or the musical?
The country Greece, and some indigenous tribes. Like, it's a very diverse mix, but it also prevents minority groups that are known to stir controversy from participating in the rotation. And one city council member even noted that these new rules prevent strange or oddball groups from making the city put up their symbols. She did not give any examples, but wink, wink.
Strange or oddball groups is our new slogan.
But then this raises another question. If you're changing this policy, which the city has a right to do, and you're going to take control of it, and you're not making it a public forum anymore, you are saying Citizens Place, this little small island in the middle of the road, you're saying this is now city-owned, and we run this shop. But then why is the Ten Commandments monument on there?
But I mean, I think that actually Oh, yeah. I got you.
Why are you keeping that there? In fact, when a city council member brought up that very point, saying it's kind of hypocritical of us to remove public access to the second flagpole while ignoring the elephant in the room that, quote, there is a giant granite monument to Christianity directly next to these flagpoles.
Wow.
And
New Hampshire.
One response was that, well, this Christian monument is part of our heritage. But another counselor agreed that the monument didn't belong there. Maybe it could be donated to a local church. And at that meeting, they're like, why don't we discuss this at another time? Right now, let's just approve the flag policy.
Oh, but I want to talk about the other thing more.
So the Satanic Temple, they basically said in response to all this, their decision is lawful, yet revealing.
Yeah.
It mirrors a broader trend in which governments withdraw from pluralism when its demands become real. The fleeting presence of the Satanic Temple's flag exposed how quickly civic commitments to pluralism can erode when tested in practice.
It makes me think of the book What We Lost, which is about kind of Jim Crow era of the United States. And the only example I can ever remember is essentially white people were so obsessed with not allowing black people into their lives that if there's a public pool, it has to be integrated. And they're like, fine, we'll drain the fucking pool. We would rather not have a pool than have an integrated pool. So it's not just about like keeping those people out of whatever you deem to be civic life or whatever. It's also like, I'm going to make my life substantially worse just to like stick it to the libs. Good job, conservatives. Really nailing it for hundreds of years.
I for what it's worth, I reached out to the mayor and I wanted to ask him about the potential legal concerns if he passed this policy directly in response to the Satanists. And also, do you have any examples of the old policy being abused? He has not responded to me.
What does the Satanic flag look like?
Was it pretty chill? In this case, it is like a black and white American flag, but instead of
it's really dope. I like it so much.
Instead of the stars, you have a circular group of stars with Baphomet's head in the middle.
Yeah,
lovely. Also, I spoke to Soren Malcontent, and I'm like, I got questions for you too.
Yes, Soren.
He did tell me, this is what I learned from him. He had actually requested that the Satanic flag go up all of October, and the mayor said yes, except for one day when another group already had dibs. Fine. When the flag was delivered to the town, he was told, no, you just get Halloween now. Interesting. And
Spooky.
Then within a week, the policy was changed. I did ask him, did you want the flag to go up there specifically so they would change the policy? And he said, my goal was representation. That's it. He wasn't trying to do anything weird about this.
Yeah, really, if you're not looking too close, it's not like it is like a giant like picture of Satan's face out front. Like it's I don't know.
They didn't have to change their policy. The policy seemed to be working.
No, none of them have to do anything. They just want to try to fuck up our shit as much as they can because they think they're the good guys and everything they do and think and believe is correct.
And I think they're just afraid, okay, we had to let this Satanic flag go up. What else might people want us to do? Let's not get an answer to that.
Pride flag?
Well, they're okay with the pride flag.
Okay,
it's other ones. I don't know what they're worried about.
What else is there?
Yeah.
What are you so scared
but
of?
They changed the policy while leaving a literal monument to Christianity untouched. I don't know what they're trying to do.
If faith is so strong, then why does a Satanic flag being up like hurt you? Do you think Satan is going to like come to your house because you like passively allowed this thing to happen? Like, what is the fear here?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't either.
All right, let's go to a different story. Let's talk about the Assemblies of God. And basically, there's a story that was in NBC News recently that kind of it exposed that denomination for its sexual abuse crisis in a way that was disturbing.
Ton about Assemblies of God.
Here's what I can tell you based on 3 seconds of looking it up, right?
Perfect. We're professionals.
It is the world's largest Pentecostal denomination. People who speak in tongues, they're very, they dance at their...
oh, sure.
You know what I mean? They're doing calisthenics during church services.
So they're speaking in tongues. This isn't snake handlers, is it?
They are not the snake handlers,
that
though I
usually
think
goes
that,
hand in hand.
that might be Pentecostal as well. But it's the biggest Pentecostal denomination. They have 13,000 churches across the United States. They have about 90 million members globally. That's the Assemblies of God. And what NBC News, specifically reporters Mike Hixenbaugh and Elizabeth Chuck, found out is that there's rot everywhere. Here's from the report. NBC News identified nearly 200 Assemblies of God pastors, employees, and volunteer leaders accused of sexual abuse over the past half century. Together, they allegedly abused more than 475 people, the overwhelming majority of them children. And that included this year when, quote, a 10-year-old girl said in a lawsuit that her pastor groped her during Bible study.
Fuck.
Yeah. So it's not like the churches are unaware of all this. Even when they knew of the allegations, we are told, they regularly reinstated these people to positions of power. They did not conduct thorough background checks. They did not report their own to local law enforcement, thinking it might expose them to legal liability. And hey, the Bible asks for forgiveness.
Well, but you have to ask for forgiveness. You forgot that part.
And the report also pointed out that these alleged assaults took place in churches, pastors' homes, and even on camping trips that took place for the Pentecostal version of the Boy Scouts called the Royal Rangers.
Oh, yeah, that's really surprising.
Yeah. And stories of abuse are always horrific, but the details that we learned in this report are so disturbing. So there's your warning. Here's what it said. A California preacher was accused of holding knives to children's chests while forcing them to perform sex acts on each other. In Louisiana, a youth leader confessed to drugging and assaulting 3 boys during a sleepover. A couple in New Mexico say their pastor used his spiritual authority to drive them apart, then coerced the wife into sex. In interviews with NBC News, these are other people, they described being molested in a church van, stalked in a church nursery, raped with the statue of Jesus plucked from a mantle.
Go fuck yourself.
Told to repent. How many more, they wondered, would have to suffer before the Assemblies of God decided that protecting children mattered more than protecting itself? Yeah.
I mean...
One person reported pastoral abuse to a congregation leader, and she was told demonic spirits had gotten hold of her. And she's a whistleblower who is now part of a lawsuit against the church, saying they're concealing decades of abuse. And just to put this all in context, the Catholic Church has dealt with this. Not dealt with this internally. I mean, they've been exposed for the similar things. Southern Baptist Convention, same thing. They've dealt with their own sexual abuse scandals, and they took some steps to address the problem and try to decrease it, though they also actively pushed back against more serious steps. But the Assemblies of God haven't taken any steps to show they're taking this stuff seriously. Like, they might say, of course we want churches to do thorough background checks. Okay, but are you going to punish or expel the churches that don't do that? Nope. So
there's no consequences.
There's no consequences.
Rule.
And their argument is we are a coalition of independent churches. We're not like the Catholic Church, which is top down and everything's under the umbrella.
Baptists, though, right?
The Southern Baptists are also a coalition of independent churches. They just have a group at the top that handles their affairs.
Okay.
But they don't dictate anything to their affiliates outside of doctrine. But again, even the Southern Baptist Convention, for all its flaws, they have kicked out churches that harbor known predators.
Right.
And by the way, they will kick you out if you have a female pastor. So they have control over stuff.
I guess, okay, so if the Assemblies of God maintains that it is just like a loosely interwoven network of like-minded churches, who is this lawsuit against? Is it against individual bad actors? Is it against individual churches?
Because I think so.
It doesn't seem like they can sue
the
Assemblies
which
of God.
Doesn't exist. Right. No, I think it's against the individual churches and individuals in them. But the Assemblies of God leadership responded to NBC News. They denied pretty much everything. And they said, we are doing everything we can to protect victims. They said, they're based, by the way, in Springfield, Missouri. They said the General Council of the Assemblies of God, they declined interview requests and did not answer questions about specific cases. In a statement, it said the church grieves with anyone who has been hurt through the actions of an abuser and described itself as a leader in preventing and combating child sexual abuse.
Could I have 3 examples of you doing anything to prevent
Right.
or stop sexual abuse?
It's a lie. I mean, the denomination literally gives its stamp of approval to ministers. You don't get to lead a church unless you have that stamp of approval. So why not say, we're not going to give it to you if you've been accused of abuse. We will revoke it from you if we need. That option doesn't seem to be on the table.
No.
And according to NBC News, interestingly enough, all of this was discussed 3 decades ago. They meet every 2 years, their general council. In 1997, they met, and there were proposals to ban anyone who had molested a child from getting these credentials, the stamp of approval.
Wow, what a high bar to
I
clear.
know, seems like a pretty straightforward idea, but there was pushback from people who wondered if ministers needed to be banned if they abused 16 and 17-year-olds but did not have intercourse.
Here's my...
Wait.
Boy.
What if they just
didn't have intercourse?
What if they just groped underage children? But like, again, they're not 8. They're like 16. That's literally one of their arguments. By the way, they also said, are we really going to revoke the credentials of someone who did something like this before they found Jesus? Sometimes these dudes did a bad thing, but it was before they found... Yeah, it was before they found God.
But then what are they doing up there if they hadn't found Jesus yet?
Well, then they found Jesus and got their stamp of approval, and then it came out later that they did this.
I see.
But you guys, as we all know, what you did before finding God doesn't count. And basically, the delegates in 1997, they asked their lawyers, are we going to get sued if we withhold credentials from accused predators? And their lawyers are like, maybe. And so the leaders of the denomination shot down the proposal later because they felt it would be unfair to predators who committed relatively minor acts of abuse before becoming born again.
Boy, the staffing shortage is no fucking joke in 2025, is it, folks?
And then, in response to the Catholic Church's sex abuse scandal, which was exposed after all that, the Assemblies of God said, you guys, we have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to abusers, and we've always held that position. We just wanted you all to know that. But good luck finding proof of that.
Jesus Christ.
They also, in that same statement where they said, hey, we know this Catholic Church thing is in the news. We all want you to know that we're the good guys here. They also said in that statement that ministers who sexually abuse children are kind of like ministers who are in same-sex relationships.
Oh, just like
they're
that
all sinners. They're all sinners.
Just like I'm a sinner for having
And
an
by the
extra
way,
cookie.
they also said any punishments we ever dole out, they're only going to apply to credentialed ministers, not lower-ranking religious
those guys
leaders.
are outside of our purview, question mark?
And what
Because
happens...
famously, churches have the least control over the underlings of a
Yeah.
church.
And
Famously.
what happens if a minister loses his credentials because they were credibly accused of
sure
abuse?
they have like a path to redemption.
They did. Christian rehab. Yep. So,
Sorry, and what are they offering to the children who are victims of the abuse of the priests?
I didn't get to that part in their one-page statement.
Oh, really? They didn't have a detailed outline of how they're going to use all of their money and manpower to do one good thing in this world?
That's correct. So advocates tried to get the denomination to pass stronger policies more recently, but again, legal liability was the barrier because the Assemblies of God leadership said if we create a policy to ban abusers...
But then we have to ban abusers, and I hate doing that.
But then what if we don't enforce those rules? Then their lawyers said you could be sued if there is credible allegations, and then you don't do anything about it. You could be sued for it. So it's just better to have no policies at all.
No, sir. Welcome to being a place that hosts humans in the year of our Lord 2025. Of you want to interact with the public on an official basis, then you are opening yourself up to get sued. I don't think that's how most people think of it, but certainly doing the right thing should come before any fears of litigation.
Yeah.
Protecting children. I'm sorry.
The alternative...
You're a Christian church. Your whole fucking thing is babies.
Their alternative is maybe enforce your damn rules and take them seriously, but that wasn't apparently on the table. The end result of this is that, I mean, besides unchecked trauma and dozens of pending lawsuits that accuse churches of shielding predators, silencing victims, and allowing abuse to fester unchecked. One of the survivors who spoke to NBC News offered a simple first step the Assemblies of God could take.
Burn it down.
Stop giving the lawyers a vote.
That's
a good
point.
By the way, I just want to point out NBC News has a whole vertical where you could read several articles about one subject, and they have a vertical called Pastors and Pray. And they specifically created a vertical to document the abuses in the Assemblies of God denomination.
Who is this?
NBC News.
Wow. Specifically Assemblies of God? Not even like blanket?
Not even other pastors who get accused. This is for this denomination. They had a whole, if you want to see other articles we've written about this specific denomination, here's a million of them.
And I think it's always worth repeating that the stories that Hammond brings to this are not every story, or brings to this podcast, or it's not every story he's heard about this week when it comes to religion. The number of stories that come out every week about a youth pastor molesting children is so frequent and so nonstop that Hammond just simply has stopped covering it on this podcast because we don't have time, and it's the same story over and over.
By the way, after the NBC News article came out, two of the Assemblies of God leaders, like their general superintendent and their general secretary, they released a short video online saying the piece was...
New media.
The piece was peppered with misleading information. We have gone above and beyond what we need to do to protect children.
This is the taken out of context of whatever this is.
But the woman in that video, their general secretary, she was one of the people who urged the denomination to listen to their lawyers and reject a policy targeting ministers who neglected to follow child abuse prevention recommendation steps.
They don't care about anybody who is not them.
Right. She said if we adopt this policy that would hold these priests accountable, that would play, quote, right into the hands of plaintiffs' attorneys.
As opposed to your defense attorneys that we need to be playing. This is what, I don't know if it's capitalism, I don't know what it is, but I'm sorry, if you are fighting for your life to save a network of people who have proven time and time again they cannot be trusted with members of the public, you need to do some deep fucking soul searching and figure out what is actually important, because it is not protecting abusers, and it is not protecting your bottom line, and it is not making sure that your church continues on to preach whatever for whatever. It's none of those things. Your first job is to serve and protect the public as best you can.
Yeah, and without mandatory oversight, without independent overseers, I mean, no member is safe. No parents should think their kids are safe in an Assemblies of God church. I know I'm not the one to talk, but I wouldn't feel safe in one of these churches.
Imagine a school district.
Right.
Imagine a school district where
where any of this happened. And the thing is,
3% of the teaching population are convicted pedophiles, and everybody's like, but they love math.
That is an argument conservatives make. This happens in public schools too. Yeah, and there's accountability.
They go to jail.
Right. No one is suggesting the schools should or do defend any of that stuff. They're like, all right, we have a policy to handle these types of allegations.
And also, truly, these are the same people who are going after teachers for using a kid's correct pronouns. And they're like, oh my God, this is such a breach of trust of what parents are sending their kids for. But no, what is a breach of trust is sending my kid to Bible study and having her come back a rape victim. Mm-hmm. These fucking people just do not care about anybody who is not them. It is so deeply and fundamentally anti-Christian for them to behave this way. And I'm sorry, if you're still part of this network of people, again, think about why you're doing what you're doing. And is your relationship with God or your spirituality worth protecting people who are obviously doing grave harm to children? Is that what it's worth? Is that worth it to you so you can sing your songs on a Sunday? Fucking assholes. The idea of these people who spent the last 10 years pretending Pizzagate is a real thing and QAnon, and they're selling kids on Wayfair and all this stuff. And every time we show them what's really happening, and it's always either rich white men or fucking Christians in power. Every time we show them, they're like, well, can't be us. This isn't happening. It's definitely the Satanists who have infiltrated your schools. They're so outside of reality that it makes it impossible to, it just makes me feel insane, especially when it comes to like this Trump bullshit of like truly, literally.
How is Marjorie Taylor Greene the recent voice of reason?
Like literally when Jeffrey Epstein says that Trump is like the darkest person he knows, and everyone's like, oh, well, Jeffrey Epstein was famously really funny or whatever. Like it makes me feel like a fucking crazy. And I know it's cognitive dissonance, and I know it's all
did not have time to put it together. Lawrence Krauss appears in those Epstein emails. I think someone counted 65 times.
No,
So many.
Lawrence, you're busted, buddy. We told you not to do those things, Lawrence.
I'm going to try to put it together for later, but yes.
But it's definitely the ladies that are keeping you down, right, Lawrence? Sorry, buddy. Oh, boy, you fucking asshole. Rotten hell. You're such a monster.
All right, let's go. We're going to another story.
No, I want to yell at white people more.
All right. You'll get a chance. Don't worry. I'm not done yet.
No shortage.
This is an update on something I talked about, I think, last week, maybe, but we talked about in Colorado, there was a, quote, public elementary school that was pushing a Christian curriculum on children. Do you remember that?
Yes, because it was insane.
It was insane. Here's the short recap of what we talked about. There's a school called Riverstone Academy. It is a new school for kids in grades K through 5. There are 30 kids who attend Riverstone right now. But if you go to the school's website, it says they use Master Books Social Studies and Berean Builders Science, both of which are textbooks catering to Christian homeschoolers and full of religious indoctrination in them.
And this is ostensibly opening as a private school?
No.
Or it's just a
this
school?
Is very much opening as a public Christian school, which is oxymoronic, and that is what they are calling it.
Not a thing.
Not a thing. So how could this have happened? As we discussed, it seems like the local public school board did not know much about this. Basically, what happened is that in Colorado, there are school districts that, you have to provide special education. You have to provide services to certain parts of your school. And not every school district, especially rural ones, smaller ones, they don't always have those resources. So they outsource them to something called the BOCES, the Board of Cooperative Educational Services. So these are third-party groups that provide specific solutions to those things. Okay. So in District 49, which is outside of Pueblo, Colorado, this local public school district said, hey, you guys handle some stuff for us. And the head of this educational service board, he went to the school district and said, hey, we are launching Riverstone Academy as a public Christian school, and it'll serve certain segments of our population, blah, blah, blah. And as I mentioned before, Chalkbeat Colorado, which is a news outlet focused on education, they looked at the arrangement and found that they never mentioned Christianity in the initial paperwork. It was only after it was done that the guy running...
Christians being sneaky? This is so unlike them.
And the Colorado Department of Education, when they heard about this, they sent a letter to the head of the public school district and the head of the BOCES that was part of this.
Thank you.
And they basically said, hey, tell us what the hell's going on. Mainly because the way a public school district works is right after the school year starts, you tell the state, this is how many kids we have enrolled at our school. And the state says, okay, you have 10,000 students. You are owed this much taxpayer money to fund everything you're doing. And what the state wanted to know
and they don't have to submit a budget, right? It's just number of students, you give us money, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
And the school districts rely on that. And that's how they keep up their budgets and funding and all that. And what the state wanted to know is, are you going to include those 30 kids at this Christian school or not?
It's only 30 children?
For now.
Okay.
They're trying to build it, but this is year one. And basically the head of the BOCES said, yeah, we are. And the school district superintendent said, we are, but if you don't want us to, we won't, but you figure it out. Don't get me in trouble. So the public school district leader's I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. But if you don't want me to, I'll do that too.
Right.
But you guys work it out amongst yourselves.
Please don't involve me in
Please
this.
don't
I don't
involve
care.
me. So the question, here's where we left off. Is the state going to do anything about this? Because it's very much illegal to have a, quote, a public Christian school.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a lawsuit to stop this? We don't know. And like the other thing we talked about is this what they tried to do in Oklahoma when they had their publicly funded Catholic charter school?
Fucking sounds similar.
Only to have the state Supreme Court declare it unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And now we have answers to some of that stuff. And this is because of reporter Ann Shimke of Chalkbeat, Colorado, who, by the way, I've asked her so many boring questions. I'm like, explain to me the relationship between this district and that one. She's been lovely in terms of responding to my dumb questions. But she wrote this amazing article and she did all the legwork on this. What she found is that all of this really began in June when the head of a different school district, District 70, which is next to District 49, they all share resources.
Sure.
Right? And basically...
resources like buses and things like that? Is that what you mean?
Yes, things like that.
Okay.
There was a lawyer for the school district who asked the school board, hey, is it okay to do I have permission from the school board to open up a new school within our district's boundaries, even though it's going to be part of our neighboring school district 49.
Okay.
Why did they do that? I don't know. Maybe there was a vacant building in their district.
And it felt like a good opportunity.
And it felt like, hey, can we allow our neighboring district to use this facility for them?
I'm always pro more schools.
And also, he's not only the lawyer for District 70, he's the lawyer for that new school. Interesting.
Interessante.
So he told the district why he wanted to do this. He wrote in a letter, this school would then work with Alliance Defending Freedom, an Arizona-based group involved in high-profile conservative legal causes, to test the legalities around the issue of whether a public school may provide religious education. He literally said, yeah, we are using this as a
test case.
This is a test case. Yeah, he basically said Alliance Defending Freedom hosted him after the Supreme Court heard oral arguments about the Catholic charter school. Alliance Defending Freedom had a little thing where they're like,
okay, what did we learn there?
Yeah, what did we learn there? What can we do in the future?
How can we apply that to here?
And he wrote to the school district. This is the lawyer for both of these
parties. And when
did
he write this?
June.
In June.
He said, ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom, asked me if I could find a way for a parallel case to be initiated out of Colorado.
I don't think he's supposed to be saying that.
I don't think so
that's
either.
The quiet part, buddy. I think you're not supposed to say that to us.
A right-wing legal group,
like we all know
asked
what's happening.
This lawyer for a public school district to launch a Christian school funded by taxpayer dollars specifically so that it would become the subject of a legal battle.
Yep. And that sounds right.
It suggests none of this was an accident. It wasn't the result of ignorance. This is a deliberate attempt to shove religion into a public school system.
And see if we can...
And the conservatives seem to know...
See if the judges have a taste for it.
The conservatives seem to know how this will play out. Either the Colorado Department of Education says, hey, district, we're not giving you the money to fund those 30 kids because they're not really part of your school district because it's a private Christian school, not a public school, in which case Alliance Defending Freedom will probably file a lawsuit over it. Of course. Or the Colorado Department of Education will give the district money. And then a church-state separation group might sue. Either way,
they're teeing up a lawsuit.
It's going to court. That's been part of the plan.
Well, I'm glad these 30 kids are probably getting real good education.
No kidding. They are pawns in a culture war battle.
This works. Like, are their parents paying for their tuition or not paying for their tuition?
Apparently not, because it's a public school. But the school is using Christian curriculum. But how is it a public school
if it hasn't... Wait, it was approved before we...
It was approved already.
Wow, Christians, really cool work that you're doing. Definitely the way Jesus would have done all of this.
Yes. I mean, the most damning thing about the story is what it says about everyone's priorities. Children are just pawns in an experiment.
What are they going to learn?
The school's religious mission is being hidden from the very system they are expecting to bankroll it.
Which means they know that they are in the wrong. They know that this is not what the public wants or the law allows. And they are trying to be sneaky motherfuckers.
Yes.
And that's
if they can,
no good.
If they can get away with it once and find a way for taxpayers to fund religious education, they will start to replicate it elsewhere, which is why this needs to be stopped now, immediately, before this gets out of hand and leads to more public religious schools.
Jesus.
So, update on that one. There you go.
What a strong bummer this week is. All right.
Here's one more. This should be a quick one, but I wanted to give you this, which is in Florida. There is a new bill that is being written, and it's a disturbing bill. There's one in the Senate, one in the state house. This is all in Florida. And basically, These Republicans sponsoring these bills want anyone who's a classroom teacher at a public school to say or subscribe to the following oath before they're allowed to step into a classroom.
An oath?
An oath. You must say this oath.
For teachers?
For teachers. And basically the beginning, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the Constitution and government of the state of Florida. We want to know if you're patriotic. So, you got to take an oath.
Not even... So wait, God isn't even in there?
Oh, well. Now, it goes on for a long while. Like, I'm going to uphold academic integrity and professional ethics, ... And the last 4 words in the oath are, so help me God. Now, the Senate version of the bill says it's not just teachers who have to take this, it's administrators, pre-K teachers, and college professors. But this is where it gets interesting because besides it being a complete waste of time, as if traitors are secretly plotting to turn children into little commies by becoming middle school math teachers, it does require everyone to say in God we trust at the very end. Or if it's written and you got to sign your name to it, you're signing that piece of paper.
Perfect.
And we talked about this a few weeks ago because in South Carolina, there's an election worker who sued the state because he didn't want to say those 4 words in an oath for election workers.
I remember that.
And the church-state separation groups basically said, courts have ruled on this. You're not allowed to force him to do it.
Yeah.
And the state just said, look, that's what the law says. We got to make you do it.
Yeah.
So that's what that lawsuit's about. By the way, the effect of an oath like this would effectively mean they are banning atheists or Quakers or others who don't swear an oath to stuff from becoming teachers in Florida. Unless you lie and say, all right, I will sign off on telling me God, right? Or just, your religious beliefs don't really matter, do they?
Yeah.
Right? It's just blatantly illegal. The weird thing is the very beginning of their oath in the bill says, I do solemnly swear, and then in parentheses, or affirm. Why did they say or affirm as an option?
Because
for people
we
who
don't
don't want to
God.
swear an oath.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to, that's fine. There are religious objections to that. So we allow you to just say, yeah, I get the gist of it and I sign off on it.
Right.
And yet they're forcing everybody to say, so help me God. That's not optional in this bill.
So stupid.
And that will mean if this bill passes, it is dead on arrival. Because it will lead to a lawsuit, and they should lose based on everything courts have done in the past.
Is this going to be the same thing as the Colorado thing of like it's a test case to see if they can find
Republicans are
find
just
a hole
dumb.
in the wall?
I don't think this is as thought out. I think
it's just reactionary bullshit.
Just reactionary bullshit. Someone, one of those Christian legislative groups said, hey, you're in Florida. I wrote it for you. Just
is this a don't assign malice where stupidity is the more likely answer kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, I reached out to both of those sponsors of the bill like a week ago, and I said, are you going to amend your bill to remove so help me God or make it optional? Because you might want to.
Yeah.
And
hint, hint.
They did not respond to me. No one responds to me. Why don't they respond to me?
I don't know, because you are a brown guy. Just because
I don't live in their district and call myself an atheist.
And you're a brown guy with a weird name.
I did attach my picture just in case.
You're just hey, it's me.
Yeah. So it's not just bad law. It's an assault on one of the most fundamental principles of democracy, which is that the government can't force you to believe in God.
Wow.
But leave it to Florida Republicans to resurrect religious coercion.
I just looked it up, but the Florida has a historic teacher shortage that is ongoing. And while it's improving slightly, so does
Oklahoma, and they're the ones that want teachers to take the PragerU test thanks to Walters.
This is what I am saying. Is like, what is... They don't care. They don't care. It is that's what I have to keep telling myself. If they have lead poisoning, and so their brains are physically unable to think more than 48 hours in advance. Yeah. This is my new theory.
And because we're not doing an episode next week and we're doing an interview, I wanted to get this one last story done, which involves the Catholic Church one more time. And the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. It's a conservative group, but it's the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. They gathered recently to spend time in prayer and fraternal dialogue, as one does. And they specifically carved out time to decide, how can we make the lives of trans people worse?
You know what? I'm always thinking that trans people have had it too good for too long.
Right. And here's the thing. You know that Catholic hospitals are bad.
Are morally not okay.
Yeah. And they're taking over the country, but also they have specific rules about what procedures they cannot support. So if you want to get an abortion, a necessary one,
Yeah.
even. They won't let you do it in a Catholic hospital. They forbid it.
So as somebody who works on the periphery of the medical field, in that I do transcripts for the American Medical Association, I just think it's always worth pointing out that that health insurance only exists as a stopgap, or as a like barrier between you and healthcare. And so that makes everything really, really, really bad for people who are trying to obtain healthcare, because
if only a Catholic hospital is the only one in your area.
I'm not even talking about Catholic hospitals yet. I am talking about genuine any hospital of like, oh, if your doctor thinks you should get this and the specialist thinks you can get it, your insurance company can still be like, ooh, no, absolutely not. So imagine living in that kind of system in America. Our healthcare system is absolutely broken. And then being like, what if we also apply a layer of Catholicism on there so we can extra fuck over pregnant people?
Right. And they don't do surrogacy. They don't do in vitro fertilization. They won't do...
Has the anti-IVF thing taken off?
Oh, I don't even know anymore.
Do you remember when that was the thing they were harboring on?
Yeah. I'm sure Trump pretends one thing, doesn't do anything for it.
Anyway.
In any case, the rule book is like, oh, you're a male and you need a vasectomy? We don't do that.
Oh, because go have more children.
Right.
But don't have children, we can't feed them.
A lot of problems with the Catholic Church hospitals, with the Catholic hospitals. Now, I'm not kidding when I say there's an actual rule book in the U.S. for Catholic hospitals to follow. It's called the Ethical and Religious Directives for Catholic Healthcare Services.
I would burn it down.
And the ERD, Ethical and Religious Directives book, was last updated in 2018. That was edition number 6. It's like the DSM.
Yeah, I understand what's happening.
It updates
and I'm
all the
mad
time.
about it.
So they updated it in 2018.
In the Bible that they need to update their bullshit.
Oh, the Bible got a few new books and they got to incorporate it.
Congratulations, you guys.
So it was updated in 2018.
We got that before a story of Ice and Storm or whatever it is.
They didn't have any rules in there about how to deal with trans people, specifically gender-affirming care.
Oh, so they're like, oh, we have been too nice to trans people. We need to specifically fuck them over.
They've done 2 things between 2018 and now specifically to address this. In 2023, the USCCB, the Conference of Catholic Bishops, they issued like a press release, like, hey, we have some guidance for you since you're all asking us about this. They said gender affirming care did not, quote, respect the fundamental order of the human person as an intrinsic unity of body and soul, or with a body that is sexually differentiated. And they said any kind of care has to respect that fundamental order of the human body.
But if a woman comes in hemorrhaging with a pregnancy, then she could just die.
Yeah, I mean, that's God's punishment.
Cool.
It's fine. So
Catholicism is fun.
So they issued that memo in 2023. In 2024, the late Pope Francis chimed in with more forceful language, because this is like, hey, the Pope just released a new record. In a document ironically called...
A new diss track against trans people.
Yeah, in a document ironically called Infinite Dignity.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
The Catholic Church, signed off by Pope Francis, called the acknowledgement of trans identities grave violations of human dignity. All this from an organized crime syndicate best known for harboring sex predators.
But children being molested by the people whom they're supposed to trust is fine?
Yes.
Just part of God's plan?
That document, for what it's worth, it condemned war and torture and the death penalty. That's great. It urged people to help the poor and people with disabilities. Very nice. But then,
more importantly...
But then, when you got to sections 55 to 60 of that document, it was all about trans people. They didn't even use the word trans people because they don't believe trans people exist.
No, I don't want to know what they said.
They said people who subscribe to gender theory are merely making a personal self-determination as if being trans is a choice.
Well, I made a personal self-determination to look hot every day. Is that okay with the Catholic Church?
Definitely not.
Wow.
And they also claim sexual difference is the, quote, greatest possible difference that exists between living beings.
Oh, counterpoint. I think there's a bigger difference between a blue whale and like a mitochondria.
That too. They deny any gender spectrum.
Alive.
It said that gender affirming operations are threatening to a person's unique dignity, which is honestly completely
really
backwards.
Something the Catholic Church should be worried about at this point.
By their logic, if you have an appendectomy or get LASIK, you're violating God's perfect design, so maybe you shouldn't be allowed to do that either. But basically, it's what you would expect from a group of elderly men who've never had heterosexual sex, much less understand any of the nuance of sex and gender, but they pretend to be experts anyway. By the way, on top of all that, the Catholic Church Catechism says homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered.
Sure.
And the Vatican has said trans identities seek to annihilate the concept of nature.
Do you think they're yelling this as they're fucking each other in the Vatican on their gold thrones? Like, truly, like, these fucking...
So, this is the 6th edition of the Ethical and Religious Directive, said nothing about trans people, but the USCCB chimed in with a memo, the Vatican chimed in with their document, and last week, when the USCCB met to discuss, like, whatever, we get together and hang out and, you know, do our things.
Talk shit.
Sure. They were like, let's adopt version 7 of our ethical and religious directives.
Oh, good.
And this one definitely has sections about trans people. Like sections 28 and 29 are brand new, and they basically reiterate everything I just told you. And so now what that means in practice is that Catholic hospitals now have new rules that specifically forbid them from doing any kind of gender affirming care. Yeah.
You know, on the other side, it's such a joy to be able to kind of sit in on medical conferences, because I just literally did one that was like an hour-long thing about like gender affirming care. And one of the things they're rolling out, and I think this is genius, is like, instead of being like, do you identify male or female? Were you born male? Are you assigned male? It's just a checklist of like, what parts do you have? What parts do you not have? Do you have a penis? Do you have testicles? Do you have breasts? We'll check those things out. Just let me know. And like, fucking genius. Like, you don't need to get into more than that. Like, the doctor needs to know what your parts are and how it's all working together, and like,
I feel like
move
that's
on.
what they do when I drop off a car to get...
Truly, like, it's so funny to listen to.
Check out the stuff, whatever's in your system. Yes.
Like, it's so funny to watch the parallel lives of like these politicians.
People who know what they're doing and people who pretend like
Not only know what they're doing, but like their whole job is to like try to make more people healthy and like give people more enriched lives. And they're like, oh, here's all the things we do to do this. And the Republicans are like, what if we did none of that and also burnt it down?
To that point, when the 2023 memo came out suggesting all these changes, there was a Loyola University, which is Catholic, a theologian who studies and writes about bioethics, who said to reporters at the time, she criticized that document, that memo, for reflecting, quote, a striking inability to conduct a basic moral analysis. And she told the National Catholic Reporter that the doctrinal note, the memo, displayed next to zero knowledge of, experience with, or expertise in transgender persons and the complexities of Catholic healthcare, even less compassion or Christian virtue.
I want to kiss her on the mouth.
And she said the report said several bioethicists who criticized the document told the media outlet that it did not reflect the evolving science on gender dysphoria, nor the insights and lived experiences of trans people. Even today, after the 7th edition has been approved, there are some Catholics who specialize in this stuff who are disturbed by what the bishops just did. There's a group called New Ways Ministry, which is specifically for like trans people in the Catholic Church. Oh, but they said Catholic teaching upholds the invaluable dignity of every human life. And for many trans people, gender-affirming care is what makes life livable. And their executive director said the transition, for many trans Catholics he knows, the transition process was not just a biological necessity, but a spiritual imperative. That if they were going to be living as authentic people in the way they believe God made them, then transition becomes a necessary thing. And of the ethical and religious directives that just got approved, that person said they are neither ethical nor religious.
Wow. I mean, I have a lot of big, capital BT, big thoughts on being trans and staying in the Catholic Church, but I guess like that's not for me to litigate, to be sure.
The reason we're even talking about this is because a lot of people don't have a choice about what hospital they go to in the U.S. Insurance companies may require you to go to certain hospitals. They get so much money from Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements, Catholic hospitals, which means for a lot of people, the only care they get and that these hospitals provide, if the church says you can't do these procedures, you're running out of options for places to get them done. It's like abortion in the U.S. right now. It's not that it's illegal everywhere, but it's really hard for a lot of people to access it.
15 years ago, it was what we used to call trap laws. Do you remember those? Those were, this reminds me of like godless bitches days. So we're talking like 2013, 2014. And it was basically regulating abortion clinics out of existence. So it's like, okay, yeah, you have this abortion clinic. You've been doing this for however many years.
But all clinics now have to have a hallway that is 7 feet wide.
You need and it would literally be shit like that. Hallways, doorways, closets was one. It was something about like every single staff member needs to have hospital admittance, which isn't a thing. Like
new rules that literally are there to knock you out of existence.
And then meanwhile, people are mad that women are still having baby. Hey, you know what's a really neat statistic I learned? Basically for every teen pregnancy, like there's 3 girls. Shit, how can I do this? Wait, my brain stopped working. No, I got this. Basically, so for every 14 pregnancies, 4 times out of 4, it's a teenage girl. 1 time out of 4, it's a teenage boy, which means 3/4 of teenage pregnancies are because of adult men. Either raping or having quote unquote consensual sex if they're 18 or whatever. But like, let's like this sort of putting the burden onto the people who need the procedures instead of the villains who are putting us here in the first place. It's infuriating. I'm sorry. I know that was off topic, but it just makes me so mad.
I will say, just to close this out. Oh yeah. When some reporters talked to doctors who operate in these hospitals who don't always agree, but they are like, I will work here or something. I want to help patients.
I can't imagine having to navigate
one
that.
chair of family medicine at the University of Chicago, which is secular, was pointed out, doesn't mean patients won't be able to get any help. Some doctors always find workarounds for their patients.
It just means you're going to lose all of their dignity to do so.
But what doctors know, and what this person said has been an open secret in Catholic hospitals for some time, is that, for example, if someone needs hormonal contraception, but you can't do it because I'm not allowed to prescribe a medical abortion, I might say, oh, you have bad acne. Let me give you what you need for that because I'm allowed to do that. And similarly, for trans people, the loopholes in this case from now on may involve doctors who actually know what they're doing saying, I'm going to refer you to a different clinic because you need to see a specialist. That might be to a secular clinic. Maybe you get hormone therapy, but it's a treatment for some unrelated condition. And that's the way they get around the loopholes. So, I mean, this is saying doctors might want to help you out at these hospitals, even if the people running the hospitals absolutely do not.
So you better hope you get...
the Catholic Church is getting in the way of your health care because they don't want it for you. And maybe there are some doctors who are like in their whisper networks. It's like, hey, I have a patient who needs help, but the Catholic Church, what can we do for this patient? Doctors know how to deal with that. And it's sad that these doctors have their coded language for how to get around the people running their hospitals because only one side of this wants to help patients.
And understand that this is affecting doctors, obviously not as much as patients, but it is contributing to the increase in burnout because...
Oh, yeah.
Because...
Just let me help people. Stop putting obstacles in my way to helping people.
Sydney McElroy, who's a physician and a podcaster, she... had a whole thing, and I don't remember the episode, but it's around when all of this shit started popping off. But basically talking about how the way she was trained to be a doctor is really no longer the way that like she can perform as a doctor because she was taught to be like, you're the leader, you're the decision maker. It's your responsibility to get this person whatever help they need. But now it's the insurance companies and it has to be approved through this and I have to do this, that, and the other thing. And anybody who has a job that's wrapped up in red tape understands the frustration, but imagine like people are dying because of this. People are leaving unhealthy because of this, and there's nothing they can do, and they've trained their entire life to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot imagine. I can't imagine. It just, the stress feels insurmountable, frankly. Is that it?
That is it for now. Yeah.
All
What are we
right.
going to talk about in the bonus?
Well, actually, before we get to that, a friend of mine just came out to me. Not anything specific, but it's somebody I've known for a super long time. And all of a sudden, he's in his mid-40s, and all of a sudden was like, hey, just so you know, like, here's some new information about myself. And we're just obviously thrilled for his journey and happy to see where he's going right now. He got on a long-term relationship, and like, it made my heart so happy that you don't have to figure out who you are when you're 14. You don't have to know who you are. Like, sometimes it takes a long time, and you see what's going on around you, and you see what feels right. And I don't know, I'm just absolutely thrilled that, that he felt comfortable, that he could come out and felt comfortable that he could do that self-exploration, but also that he was comfortable telling me and my husband. And that made me super happy. So just want to say to people out there, even if you're not a teenager, even if you're not in your 20s, if you're still figuring out who you are, it's a long journey, man. And there's not an end. It's just ongoing. Figure out what makes you happy. I'm just really over the moon about it. And we're going to go see 6 when it comes into town this year.
Nice.
Anyway, so for bonus stuff, over the weekend, I went to an event for the Flophouse, which is a podcast I really like about bad movies. And I'm friends with one of the hosts' wives, so I got to spend a little time with a few of them. Got to talk to Elliot Kalin about the LBJ books briefly, and we were both pretty tickled about that. Somebody asked, and I forgot to respond on Discord. Shadow of the Commandant is the documentary I brought up last week. I think it's on HBO, if I'm remembering right. This is the one that's about the son and grandson of Hess, who ran Auschwitz.
Okay.
Speaking with a Auschwitz survivor and her daughter. And it is fascinating because because I brought it up last week because we were talking about admitting that somebody did something wrong in the past, and like, it's okay to do that. It's okay to reckon with wrongdoings in the past. Very good if you want to check that out. And also, I am about to be the new Right to Repair spokesperson because my fucking microwave broke and I could have fixed it, but it's made out of cheap, chintzy bullshit plastic, and I couldn't, and I'm furious about it. And I do not have money for a new fucking microwave right now. And so I'm going to yell about that for a little while.
Please go to patreon.com/friendly atheist podcast to support this show. Remember, there'll be an interview next week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And also leave reviews on all of the podcast apps and iTunes
reviews in
and
like
whatnot.
a month.
Oh,
I don't know if that's
leave
them
your
or
reviews.
y'all. I don't know.
That's what you could do for Thanksgiving.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I hope everybody who is able to celebrate the holiday has a nice time off. And if you don't have a good relationship with your family, it's okay not to see them. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.